One of the great things about retro gaming is that you get to truly appreciate the games for what they are. When you're so far removed from a game's release and you don't have all the promises and expectations lingering in your mind, you get to truly appreciate a game for what it is rather than what it isn't. And while back in the day there were a lot of games that were unfairly pigeonholed, today they do a wonderful job satisfying certain cravings. And so that's why today I want to talk about a game that does just that, Arkista's Ring for the NES.
Arkista's Ring was developed by NMK and published by American Sammy in June 1990. It's a top-down action game that has you stepping into the boots of pointy-eared archer Christine, a resident of the elven kingdom of Arkista. An evil shogun has stolen the kingdom's treasures, including the titular ring, and it's up to Christine to save her homeland from darkness and return the treasures to their rightful place. Gameplay consists of navigating the different grid-based stages, usually about 2 screens high, using Christine's arrows to defeat monsters until a key appears, allowing you to move on to the next stage. There are 125 stages in all, although they start looping after stage 31, and while they start off easy enough, enemies get progressively tougher as you go, keeping things feeling fresh throughout. To help along the way, Christine is able to make use of an array of power-ups that enemies drop, including armor pieces to increase her hit points, fire wands that allow her to shoot through walls, thunder wands that kill all weak enemies on the screen, potions to refill health, and the extremely useful ninja stunners, which will cause all of the really annoying ninja enemies to bow, allowing you to pick them off at your leisure. Pressing select between stages shows you your current loadout, along with a cute profile of Christine. The enemies are pleasantly varied, starting with basic orcs who slowly trudge around and occasionally throw an axe your way, and go on to include huge ogres, fire monsters, skeletons, flying demons, ninjas that jump over walls, and what look like flattened Metroids. They all tend to move rather erratically, which keeps you from memorizing patterns and makes them all feel a bit more devious and dangerous. At first glance, it seems very Zelda-esque, and back in the day the game was hyped as such, but don't let appearances deceive you. The perspective and green-clad heroine certainly invoke thoughts of Nintendo's Adventure series, but Arkista's Ring is all action. There are no towns to stop in, no overworld to explore, no hidden caves to uncover. It's an action game through and through, and a very enjoyable one.
And that's what I love about Arkista's Ring. It's a very simple game. It's simple to play and simple to understand and doesn't require you to know anything going in. It's really hard, sure, but anyone can play it, and it's great to just kill some time with if you don't have the time or the desire to dive into anything more involved.
A lack of depth doesn't make a game bad as long as it's executed properly, and Arkista's Ring does what it does very well. It's a simple action game that doesn't overcomplicate itself, which makes it something worth checking out. It has a narrow focus, but that's what makes it so appealing. It's very good for when you're in the mood for something simple and easy to play. Arkista's Ring isn't a game you're going to sit down to play with the intent to beat it. For one thing, the 125 stages with no save feature make that a virtual impossibility. Even though you get 10 continues, the large number of stages combined with a dramatic increase in difficulty make it seem like the game doesn't want to let you beat it. And you know what? That's totally fine. Arkista's Ring is going to be a good gap filler game for when you've got a free chunk of time and want to play something that's solid, but simple and doesn't require a whole lot of thought. It's not mindless, but you don't need to think about much. The game's scope is narrow enough to keep it from ever feeling like a chore or that it's asking too much of you. You just play it until you don't feel like playing anymore for whatever reason and then turn it off and come out of it getting exactly what you wanted. The game does get pretty stupid hard around level 30, which features a huge swarm of ninjas coming after you, and if you don't have a pocket full of ninja stunners, you literally can't beat it. My wife and I were trading the controller back and forth while recording the gameplay footage, and we took about 45 minutes to get to stage 30, only to lose all 10 continues in a futile attempt to try and fight off the shinobi horde. It didn't feel frustrating at all, and we just started over from stage 1 to try again because the game was fun enough that we wanted to keep playing regardless of what stage we were on. That's what kind of game Arkista's Ring is. It doesn't matter what stage you get to or how long you play. It's just fun. The controls work well enough, with A being your attack button and B your start pausing the action so you can select an item to use. The only real issue is that Christine has to move in order to turn, so you can't turn in place in order to attack enemies in multiple directions. The game's graphics are simple, but they fit the overall tone of the game quite well. Christine's tiny sprite has enough character to it to connect you to her, and the monsters all have interesting designs and are easy to tell apart from each other. The game doesn't have a lot of music, but what's there is catchy and charming, and you'll find yourself humming it to yourself even after you've stopped playing. It's also just really nice to see a game from this era with a female protagonist. When the kingdom is in trouble, it's Christine and not some burly knight who steps up to save the day. And she's front and center on the game's box, too, not relegated to the back cover like some modern gaming heroines.
And like every game I talk about, Arkista's Ring isn't going to cost you a whole lot of money, with a loose cart running you anywhere from $15 to $20. And that might seem like a lot for a game like this, but this is a game that you're going to love having on your shelf. It's such a comfort to know that it's there, just waiting to be played anytime the urge strikes you.
Arkista's Ring is a really unique and enjoyable game that's just an absolute delight to play. You might not play it for very long each time, but you'll play it often, and it's something that you can pop in whenever you don't have a whole lot of time to kill, but still want to play something fun and satisfying. If you come across a copy, don't pass it up.